Alright guys, welcome back to DreamHack Bucharest, day number 1. I'm Frodan. We're joined by Reynad, who just won his series, and he's even offered to jump onto the seat and cast, despite him being pretty fatigued.
We did some switching here, giving Kripp a rest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kripp was going slightly delirious.
Yeah, well, I was watching his like... something
he was snoring away a little bit. But Reynad, welcome to the casting chair.
Thank you.
I always worried about calling it desk.
It's good to be here.
But you've been casting some things here and there as well, so people are pretty familiar with
I
you.
dabble.
Yeah.
It's fun.
It's good.
Just a bit, I dabble.
So what are we casting next?
Reynad. We're casting next. We have Lothar. It's the first game out of the round of 64, so we are on to our second round here. We actually are kind of behind with the schedule, so we did a coin toss to see if we cast Gara or Lothar. It ended up to be Lothar. Gara is playing right now his game, but since we are so slow apparently compared to the other guys, we just had to skip that one. And Lothar is playing FION, who just told me, he confessed that he just flew in from Austria to Bucharest to compete in a computer game, which is the craziest thing he ever did. But I congratulated him. It sounds totally legit to me. I mean, there's a HearthStone tournament in Bucharest. Why not just fly there and take a part in it, right?
Yeah, it's not too crazy. There's an entire industry built around it, actually.
Yeah,
so.
That's what we're doing.
The more the merrier, I say.
Exactly. Oh God, there's someone ruining our shot, man.
He can't stay away, can he?
It's casual, Larian.
Oh, you want your shot? Oh.
You want, okay, okay.
Huh.
Really good.
All right.
Kripp crackers. All right. So as soon as the guys are ready, which they should be, pretty soon we're gonna switch to their to the game. Okay. Apparently they're not yet ready.
Let's go ahead and pull up on screen though. Why not? Just show how everything's going so far.
I don't know. They're having a conversation, saying what's what.
Maybe just clarifying everything.
Yeah.
Hey, we haven't actually mentioned the sponsor in a long time. So why don't you talk a little bit about who's sponsoring the event?
About what kind of coffee I want to drink when I'm tired?
Yes, what kind of coffee would you like to drink?
Do you know what I like to drink? I like to drink some Nescafe, man. It's really nice. They have this. Actually, it's the name of the tournament that I was just gonna say. They have this. It's called 3-in-1. Basically, there's these small packs. Open it up, put them in water, and boom. Apparently they have 3-in-1. I don't know.
It's just instant coffee.
You get excited. The Kripp should have one. But
we'll get him one ASAP.
We're here ready with the mulligan.
Yep, I think
Reynad had some Nescafe, I think, yeah.
I did. Complimentary downstairs. I didn't even know it was instant coffee. It's pretty good.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if it was instant coffee, but they have an instant coffee. This 3-in-1 is the instant coffee.
So I think Lothar 2-0'd his last opponent with Hunter,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, he did.
And so he's pretty confident in that deck. I mean, it's pretty balanced.
It's the deck he mains, apparently, and we see a lot of Hunter. I think more than 90% of the players have a Hunter deck.
Yeah, I agree with both players' mulligan decisions, too, this game. That's he wants to keep the 2-drop because Lothar's going first, and FION wants to keep his Animal Companion because he's going second, so he can coin that out, get an early lead on board.
Now, you know, I was actually talking to some players like Sixo, and they're talking about on turn 1 in the Hunter mirror, you always want to have something, like whether it's a Tuskbore or the Timberwolf to drop.
I mean, if he's gonna put Angry Chicken in his deck on purpose, might as well run it out there. It's gonna rot in his hand for like 5 or 6 turns. I think you wait and see. Wait and see. There's no oh man, Timberwolf is the most frustrating card.
And it sounds like you've had some pretty bad experiences with it.
I have, man. It's just it just stares back at me from my hand, just not doing anything.
Well, he's staring at you, right?
Yeah, exactly.
He has a troll smile, basically.
Yeah, I gotta pray to draw Buzzard so I can replace it with a playable card. That's okay though.
And you know, if FION didn't actually coin out the River Croc instead, and he's going to save and maybe push out the Animal Companion, do you like that as well?
Yeah, I think it's usually want to hold on to coin to play Animal Companion. You don't want to coin out Croc because then turn 2 he wouldn't have any play but hero power. He could theoretically play Timberwolf and Boar, but then he would have 3 creatures early in the game and then just get blown out by Unleash the Hounds. So yeah, I'm happy with this decision. I mean, he could even play River Croclisk here rather than coining the Animal Companion. That would save him his coin, give him a good play next turn. It's probably correct, honestly. Also had the option of like playing Timberwolf there and trading with Stone Tusk Boar, but I like his decision to play Crocolisk. I'd probably go ahead and do the same thing there.
Yeah, I think Stone Tusk Boar is more versatile, especially when you get your own Hyena as well.
Yeah,
you just have more options.
So powerful, like it's well, it's not powerful.
We saw FION just writing something down. I think he's writing down his
that's
played cards and whatever, and what the opponent plays. I don't know. So just so he can keep track of what's out, what's in.
Tryhards, man.
Yeah, yeah.
If there's a place to try hard, it might be DreamHack.
Yeah.
Now, Lothar has turn 3.
Yeah, he's got a lot of choices here.
Yep.
Tough call. I mean, he could play Timberwolf, trade up, but I mean, Hyena's better than Crocolisk, so it's not very appealing. He could just play Deadly Shot. Yeah, pretty much either way, I don't think you can let Crocolisk live here. If I'm him, I probably just Deadly Shot and feel bad. But it's like the advantage of playing Eagle Hornbow in your Hunter deck. A lot of decks issue it in order to, or choose not to play it in order to...
Oh, yeah, that's a question I wanted to ask you, I forgot.
Yeah, I play 2 of it, no traps, cards OP. It's like Fiery War Axe, it's just so good.
And interesting because in this tournament we've been seeing a lot of hunters include an explosive to account for like Zoo.
Yeah.
And that actually like plays into the strength of the bow.
Yeah, and you get blown out by Flare in the mirror match, and the thing is Explosive Trap isn't even good against Zoo. Either way, in order to beat Zoo, you need Unleash the Hounds by turn 4, so whether or not you have Explosive Trap, it's not going to make the difference. But yeah, it looks like made a pretty clever play there. Decided to grow his Hyena and attack, which is good against everything but Stone Tusk Boar. So yeah, I'm pretty sure fine. Here's just going to Stone Tusk Boar to go ahead and trade with Hyena and then just coin Animal Companion.
Yeah, getting the board position. Again, that's where hunters have really kind of evolved from this point. You see turns like 7 and 8. They're still like in the high health versus the former Hunter versus Hunter used to be like just a rush fest.
Yeah, exactly. That's the advantage of playing a higher curve is you play your cards more slowly so you have more in hand. You don't run out as fast. I mean, you can imagine like this is like the strength of Eagle Hornbow in the mirror match. If either player had it on turn 3, it would have been a very like easy straight up 2-for-1. Just would have had control of the entire early game. But neither player had it, so that's like it balances out. Stampeding Coda is like another very swingy card in the matchup. You can see Lothar has that. For example, if FION rolled a Leok there instead of a Huffer, that Stampeding Coda would just be absolutely disgusting.
Yeah, lights out.
Yep.
You know, it's interesting because I feel like Kodo is just kind of like that swinging card in a lot of matchups for Hunter. That's what pushes it over the edge for, like, Warrior, for example. You take out the Armor Smiths and the Acolytes really easily and other matchups as well.
It depends on like what metagame you're trying to fight. Warrior's been kind of pushed out on ladder because it's kind of 45% against every deck in the game. You don't really have any great matchups now that Rush Hunter is non-existent. But Sokoto is good against older decks, but yeah, like I prefer Tundra Rhino personally. Played on an empty board. Against that Huffer, for example, you could kill that. And 4-2s aren't uncommon. But I mean, there's so many different ways to build the deck. Like better Hunter players than me choose to play Kodo, and when it's good, it's much better. So I can definitely respect either decision. Nothing's like, that's kind of how cards work. Nothing's necessarily right or wrong. It's just a preference thing a lot of the time. He's going to choose to hold on to Timberwolf too, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, and again, it's kind of...
he likes him, the dog looking back at him, so basically...
Yeah, it's been there since his opening hand.
He's waiting for it.
For both players.
At least it's golden.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's really interesting because I've just been playing this matchup on ladder a lot with the impression you always want something on the board, but it seems like Lothar doesn't really buy into that philosophy.
Yeah, some draws you have, you just can't...
well, he wasn't really happy about his play. He just did the deadly shot and nothing else.
Yeah. Sometimes that's what you got to do. Fion's in this position now where he can, he can play Timberwolf, he can just hero power, or he can play this Houndmaster without getting value. And I agree with his decision. Continue having Timberwolf stare at you, hero power, pass. It's like probably correct. Because even if you want to buff Timberwolf, you can do it next turn with Houndmaster.
Yeah.
This doesn't walk into Stampeding Kodo, which is also huge.
Getting that upper is pretty nice to push out some damage back.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, will we see a deadly shot back?
Wish that was a Rhino.
Case in point. Yeah, I don't think doing a deadly shot is wrong here.
Well, it's the exact same play Lothar did 2 turns ago.
But then you're still kind of playing behind the curve, and like that's what makes it really tough in the mirror, because if he puts out Savannah, then you're trying to answer his Savannah and you're taking more damage.
Exactly, yeah. The first person who plays Savannah basically almost always wins. If I were him, I would probably play Timberwolf and Houndmaster here, because that does kind of answer the Huffer, but it also gives you another threat in play. So if he does play high main, you're not as far behind. But if he chooses to play like Kill Command to kill your creatures, then all of a sudden you're the first person playing high main and you're very far ahead. We'll see if FION ends up going with that though. But yeah, generally with this Hunter deck, like with the aggressive Hunter deck, you wanted to hero power as much as you can because it's kind of like the Warlock hero power. You're kind of drawing a 0 mana Arcane Shot every time you use it. But with this deck, you want to hero power as little as you can so that you're getting these expensive, clunky beasts out of your hand so you don't fall too far behind.
Yeah, and definitely the right play here. Does Lothar have this event behind me? I didn't remember.
We'll see. Nope. No cigar.
He's got Timberwolf.
He's got Timberwolf, and he also has Unleash the Hound.
That's true. I could definitely take out one of those guys. Leaves him with a 1/1 left over, though. Kind of exposes him to Kodo and Unleash the Hounds a little more than he would like. But, yeah, all of his options here are kind of awkward.
Yeah, no, I guess...
even like a Hunter's Mark here would be pretty good. It'd let him kill both threats and get a Kodo on the table. But, yeah, he might just have to make that preemptive Unleash play, or he might just trade off and drop Croc. I don't really want to drop Crocolisk without Timberwolf because then Houndmaster kills it. But yeah, like, no matter what, he's walking into Stampede and Kodo, it looks like.
It doesn't look preferable either way then.
Yeah, it's a pretty interesting deck, honestly, to play with mid-range Hunter. A lot of people think Hunter's pretty easy, but the versions that played, like, where 90% of the deck was 1-cost cards, had a lot of different ways to sequence your cards, and if you made a mistake, you'd lose by 1 or 2 points. So it's actually one of the more harder decks to play at a high level because it punishes mistakes so hard. But this mid-range deck, instead of having a million different options, you have basically 2 different options. But if you end up making the wrong one, that often makes the difference between winning and losing a game. So it's very little room for error.
Yeah, and most mid-range deck are like that as well. It has a big rubber band where you really need to be able to make the early game decisions count the most because their mid-game is so important to establish the board presence.
Yeah, exactly. The whole mechanic of creatures being able to attack creatures, it's so easy to snowball a game where you have a lead because you're the person dictating what attacks what, and yeah, it just kind of snowballs from there.
So Lothar's had about a minute or so to think.
Yeah, and he's still undecided.
It's a tough
Pretty
call
tough.
for him.
It's a tough round. He can like play 3 of his cards and clear the board, or just lose control even more.
Well, the problem is that these are all pieces of the combo, but he doesn't have what he wants in everything.
Like, honestly, I'd probably just like play Kodo and trade and pass, I guess, because man, getting Kodo'd is just the worst feeling in the world. It's you gotta have the fear, man.
Respect the Kodo.
Yeah, you can't just have your angry chicken sitting out there waiting to get eaten. It is high stakes. I mean, DreamHack, like, none of these players want to... I mean, it's single elimination, so if they lose the best of 3, they're just out of the tournament. That's why a lot of these players are taking all the time they can. You don't want to make an embarrassing mistake in front of 30,000 players and just have that end your tournament.
Also, if we learned anything in these 8 rounds, if whoever loses the first Hunter versus Hunter doesn't come back, you're way down.
Well, Savage did end up winning the first Hunter versus Hunter, but he ended up losing the series. But if someone loses here in round 64, they're basically in the same boat. They go home with no money.
You're right.
What's it gonna be, Lothar?
That control warrior. Come back. Well, Lothar finally trading up.
Yeah, this trade means he's going to drop the Kodo.
He's going to drop the Kodo, yeah.
And that gives FION some leverage to just drop wherever he wants.
You got a man mode high main here. It's really tempting to deadly shot, and that's the mistake a lot of players would make, I think. And that would just honestly lose them the game. But you have to play high main right here. And yeah, I mean, if I'm FION,
just give up the Houndmaster.
You have to. You don't even have to give it up. You could get a Hunter's Mark defensively on the Kodo, and then attack him in the face. That kind of exposes you to your opponent having an Iron Beak Owl, because if you Hunter's Mark their creature and they end up silencing their own creature, it gets all of its health back, and that's a really great way to get blown out. So he's gonna want to avoid that if he can, but a high main into into Hunter's Mark. Yeah. I mean, he doesn't even have to attack face. I mean, if he wants to play around Iron Beak Owl, he could Hunter's Mark and attack the Kodo. But yeah, if I were him, I would
go to the face.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the better solution,
That's
I
still
guess.
pretty good because normally you like to use Owl on things that are like Houndmastered or even the
high main
the high main itself.
Yeah.
So I think I agree with that a lot.
Yeah, either way, Owl's gonna be good against him. You know, it's got to be the play because even if he does end up silencing his own creature and attacking your Houndmaster, he's left with this 1 health minion, and you have a hand of Unleash the Hounds. Like, it's not a problem. No, he doesn't end up going with that. Chooses to not Hunter's Mark though. It's interesting.
Tracking, I know, is a card that you're kind of divided upon, at least last week. Do you have any new opinions upon it?
No, I've been saying that card is one of the best cards in Hearthstone since like 7 months ago when the beta started.
Well, you're talking about how sometimes you're not sure if you want to keep it in
the
deck.
Oh, in the opening hand?
Right.
Oh, no, I would never cut it from a deck. I would play tracking, and I would play 10 trackings in every deck in Hearthstone.
Well, yeah, because you search for the card you want, but I'm talking about...
It lowers variance, yeah. It's just, but yeah, I know what you mean. In certain matchups, you don't want to hold on to it in your opening hand, definitely. If you already have a good curve, if you don't have the time to play it, yeah, one of like the big differences between this mid-range Hunter deck and some of the faster ones is the faster ones would, if you had 2 mana available, you always want a hero power, but with this deck you'd rather tracking instead of hero power because that's going to complete your curve for you. If you're missing a 3-drop, you'll find one. If you're missing a 4-drop, you'll find one.
So, what's on the board? The Savannah and the Houndmaster? Alright.
It's tough to tell. I always hate that when I play tracking. I just
it covers the board and you can't like move it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Just get out of the way.
Like, I have this short-term memory of a hamster. It's like so hard to.
It's a Savannah and the Houndmaster, I think, versus his Kodo.
Like the Hunter's Mark is really valuable against the Savannah as well.
Yeah. Well, like I said, the first person to play high main is just like it's such a massive advantage that it's gonna be really tough for Lothar to come back here. Like. He can, well, actually, I mean, he can clear the board here more or less, but he'll be down about 3 or 4 cards.
Yeah, that's very painful, the way you clear.
Alright, we know he discarded, so that's his only unleash.
There we go, 7 turns later, Timberwolf being played. Almost as good as Arcane Shot. And then we're gonna kill, that's tough.
Well, it did help him clear basically all of the high main with the help of Hunter's Mark.
That's true. Yeah, I'm not actually sure if you go for face here, kill the Houndmaster. I mean, he's down on cards, so I could see going for face.
Yeah, because you feel like you don't have a big window anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the counter unleash now.
Yeah, this is pretty gross.
Everything at 1 HP. Thank you.
And he even has the opportunity to go to as well.
Yeah, I think if you're FION here, you feel like you're in a pretty good spot. The board's pretty much going to be stable here, and he could even play a Kodo, which I think is correct. You don't usually want to hold on to Kodo to trying to kill something when it's your only way of putting a threat on the table. Like,
well, it's body in its own.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
It's huge. Yeah, even lets him keep the dog. Sweet.
Yeah. Kodo's not bad. Now, Lothar still hasn't hit any of his high mains. Oh man, second River Croc.
Not what you want to see at this point in the game.
Yeah, if he had an immediate counter high main after clearing the board, that might be a way that he could catch up. But yeah, this is the point in the game where it's just too tough. Lothar right now, what he's thinking, I mean, a lot of people just slam both Crocolisks, but what he's thinking about is, how can I win this game? I'm so far behind. If I draw a Starving Buzzard, maybe I want to play to that out and not play any of my Crocolisks, hoping to draw Buzzard next turn. Either way, I don't see him come back from this, but I'm not actually sure if playing the Crocolisk is correct or not. You can see it either way.
I don't think, well, if you do, I feel like playing 1 isn't correct either because of the way Houndmaster can kind of bounce that and just completely make it
exactly
null. So if it's like a 2 Crocolisk or nothing do.
Exactly, yeah. If you play 1 Crocolisk, it's just going to die to that Kodo and you're going to have no board.
I'm seeing an intern here. Even with the 2 Crocolisks, they don't help him that much.
But
he needs to draw some cards, so he's gonna wait.
Yeah,
the, the, the right play, in my opinion, waiting for that buzzard.
The right play was drawing Crocolisk early, not on turn 8.
Oh, clearly a misplay from Lothar then.
Yeah.
Happens to the best of us.
Yeah, and you know, with Misha there though, that makes his life that much more difficult as well.
Yeah. Oh,
Finally, I mean.
just a turn too late.
Yeah.
At this point, it doesn't matter.
He's gonna take so much damage next turn.
Yep.
Or does he even have the damage to kill right now?
Yeah, either way, FION's just too far ahead to lose his lead. You have to play Crocolisk here and try to bait FION into misplaying by attacking it. Not that it's been necessarily a misplay. I mean, it might just be right to kill it either way.
Well, not when he draws that.
I think that's
He
game.
has 8 damage plus 3 plus
Yeah,
the
that's
2.
game.
So you know what, man? The angry chicken strikes back.
It does. It does. There we go.
All right. So game number 1 goes to FION. And Lothar's on the brink of elimination just like that. All the way through, best of 3.
I think he still had 2 kill commands. He had a lot of victory conditions still in his hand. So, nice game by FION.
Yeah, and now Lothar, he has to turn to one of his other,
Yeah,
I guess,
we're gonna see
anti-hunter deck.
his second deck for the first time. We're gonna see what he's gonna play.
An immediate re-queue. And you
Yeah.
know what? I
He
think
knows what he
Lothar
wants to
might
play.
be
It's his
Oh,
rogue.
going his
That's
rogue.
great. That's
Yeah.
exactly what I would do. Rogue is actually really strong against Hunter.
Yeah, especially if they play high mains and you sap it or something like that. They're just
Yeah.
so far behind.
That's a sign of a player that's done his homework. He's tested the matchups. He knows like the deck with the highest win percentage against Hunter. And Tempo Rogue is definitely one of those decks. Since he's playing Loot Hoarder and Argent Squire, it looks like it's more of a Tempo Rogue strategy rather than the Miracle Rogue with Gadgetzan Auctioneer and all that.
Yeah, I think that it's a bit unreliable, that deck, but
It kind of is, yeah. Some matchups you just need to draw Gadgetzan to win.
But this Tempo Rogue, it's a pretty good deck, and let's see if he can bounce back and maybe make a comeback. Look at FION writing it down.
So Reynad, what are some of the keys of victory here for the rogue?
Put Cold Blood on things and attack with them. That's pretty much the plan. He doesn't really have a Cold Blood here, but he did draw Defias. That's going to give him a pretty strong turn 1.
Yeah.
He's just wondering whether he should play Argent Squire, because if he plays Defias, he knows that he's going to play Loot Hoarder most likely on turn 2, and that will basically give him no good turn to play Argent Squire. I think I'm fine with that, though. Just want to get 4 power into play and start beating the Hunter player down. That's like the Rogue definitely wants to be the aggressor in this matchup because the Hunter
absolutely.
deck definitely has the advantage going long.
And Hunter usually doesn't have that much easy way to answer this directly. That's what makes Defias so powerful.
Yeah. I mean just that rogue hero power, it's just the best early game hero power in the game by a mile. Even if he plays Crocolisk here, which would, you know, normally stack up pretty well against Defias Ringleader, it just runs the 2-1 in, which he wants to do anyway because it makes the Unleash the Hounds worse.
Right.
And then just finishes it off with Dagger.
So a pretty good start here for Lothar. Even has the backstab as well to complement things.
Yeah, if he wants to use that backstab, he can do that and even keep both his creatures alive. I mean, maybe that's correct. You have more pressure on the board that way.
Yeah, I actually like that better.
Let's see what his choice will be.
You could even Loot Hoarder, backstab, trade the 2-1. But I think, yeah, I think
It's
Dagger.
yeah, Dagger.
I think turn 3 you also want to make sure he doesn't have the option to run in something like the Tusk Boar with the Scavenging Hyena, and then you use your backstab kind of early. So
Yeah, there's a lot of strong like 2-card combinations that the Hunter deck can have early game,
Right.
and it's so tough to play around them because even if you know that it's a possibility, a lot of times it's just wrong to assume that they're going to have this 2-card combination because you'll lose more games than you win playing around it. But not always. I mean, when you're basically the further you are ahead in a game, the more you want to play around the corner cases.
okay.
He does choose to keep the board presence.
Yeah, that defies
Using
Ringleader
the
draw.
backstab, yeah.
That was so sick.
Yeah, that's good.
Daily shot, not helpful here.
Now, of course, FION's hand here is kind of clunky. He really wants to play Buzzard and Stone Tusk Boar, but if
Yeah,
he
but
does that, then it dies to Dagger. It's
Yeah.
just, he's in this really awkward spot, and Yeah, this is generally where the rogue deck just starts to deal a bit of damage, kill your guy, deal a bit of damage, kill your guy, and eventually it
just snowballs.
Exactly, yeah. Eventually it just throws a couple of eviscerates out, and that's game.
You know, and they always have the option to have big finishers like Leroy come in and end the game.
Yeah. You never know, though. I mean, Lothar might play a third creature, and Unleash the Hounds is a fun and balanced Hearthstone card. So he could draw that and catch right back up.
Totally, totally. I saw your sarcasm, but I agree with your statement.
It is fun and balanced for the person that's playing it.
Well, also, even when you feel like you're coming back, you get your high main, and then it gets sapped. That's also such...
Yeah, it's true.
Such a terrible facepalm moment, and FION doesn't seem really happy about his options here, just looking at him.
No, he wants to stop the bleeding as much as he can, but, you know, at the same time, it doesn't really improve his position too much.
Well, this is Lothar's town, scrub, basically. So
if he wants to stop the bleeding, he's
going
to need a much bigger band-aid, that's for sure.
Honestly, I would just Deadly Shot here. It's not great, but it lets you play Starving Buzzard plus Timberwolf plus Stone Tuskborn next turn, and replace your like weak cards with hopefully
something
less
better,
Timberwolf. Yeah, and then like you can, even if he Deadly Shots the 2/1, that Stone Tuskborn next turn is going to have 2 power if he makes that play, which will let him kill off the ringleader.
I guess he's instead going to go for the Boar and trade.
Yeah, these are the kinds of plays that you would make with the old Hunter deck, where you just want to maximize value out of your low impact cards. But you have to Deadly Shot in spots like that, because now FION's in this position where he's never going to have a turn to play Deadly Shot again, unless Lothar has 1 creature with Cold Blood on it.
Right.
It's just not going to come up. 3 mana is a lot. It's really tough to fit that into the curve on turn 4 and 5.
And it also kind of limits his options as well with the Buzzard in the future turns. So I agree with that. And in the end, Lothar pretty much just replaces his 2/1, and the pressure's still back on.
Yep.
With a bit of chipping at
He's choosing not
FION's health also.
Yeah, definitely. He's choosing not to play Argent Squire there to make the potential Unleash the Hounds from FION a little less good.
It's always funny to see them play around it. Plays you would usually make, you would place that Argent Squire probably in every other matchup against Hunter. You just you think about that one card, and you don't.
I mean, even against Hunter, it's sometimes correct to just throw the extra creature out there, because, yeah, it gives him an extra dog, potentially an extra draw if he has Buzzard, but it's still going to take him 2 dogs to kill that Argent Squire, so...
Oh, yeah. Divine Shields are just so effective against that.
Scarlet Crusader is actually really good right now. Honestly, I think... From all the decks I've seen this tournament, Strife Crow has the best deck that I've seen so far. And Divine Shield, I mean, he's playing Argent Commander and Druid, and that, I mean, that bubble effect is just so powerful right now.
It takes so much for the Hunter to get through it, so it's super effective.
Lothar still thinking about that Argent Squire.
Well, here's the thing. If he puts the Argent Squire, next turn he obviously wants to drop something like the Drake, and you're just kind of loading the board again a little too much for maybe his tastes. So then, you know, weaponing up.
We're going to see the weapon, that's for sure, yeah.
I would double weapon and go face right here. Yeah, like, you're at that point.
Because then if you have 5 damage still, and I mean... Putting him at 14 is a very powerful move here.
I mean, after he plays Azure Drake, is he really going to have the time to make a new weapon to Deadly Poison a second time? That's the question. Looks like he thinks he will. That might be right.
Might be right if he wants to pick up some way to kind of clear as well, because if you have something like Blade Flurry in the deck, a way to kind of remove something like a quick Houndmaster thing.
So now this should be the time where 1 round later he draws another boar, goes for some cards, let's see. Oh, and there it is.
Unleash the Hounds.
There it is.
So we get something that he finally needs. Also has the option to
draw 2 more cards now. This might be the break that he needed.
No, it was definitely a much needed card, so that way he can clear the board fully here. So there's no question about it. He has to kind of address the board. And from here, he actually has nice follow-up plays as well. Savannah Highmane to just kind of plop down the next turn really easily. Rogue will have to spend the turn answering the the Starving Buzzard, and the nice thing is I can even absorb a deadly poison charge as well. So all in all, it's a very effective turn for FION.
Honestly, he's not that far behind right here. Yeah, I mean, Lothar, I wouldn't even say he's behind at all. I mean, Lothar's going to play this Azure Drake, either attack the Buzzard or backstab it. And, I mean, FION can just counter with a Savannah Highmane if he's feeling lucky. And it would work. I mean, Lothar doesn't have the sap right here, so that'd be really effective. That's the thing about Hunter, is like it's so strong. Even the decks that have a positive win rate against it need to draw the right things, and if they don't, they're just going to lose.
And they always have that comeback potential.
Exactly. That's like why you really want to have a nice proactive strategy when you build the deck for anything. A lot of the slower control decks that play a lot of reactive cards, just if you don't draw the right answers at the right time, you just lose. So being the one making proactive plays just gives you a strong advantage a lot of times.
So what's the play here? Azure Drake and...
Yeah, it's
I think Azure Drake is just so much better than anything else you could do here.
Yeah. I guess the question is, does he play Blade Flurry? If he does, he'd probably rather backstab than attack, just to leave him that option open.
It does have the
great draw.
Had it. Sweet. So now he's just going to backstab, yep.
He's chilling now.
Oh, really attacking. That's interesting. That makes sense.
Well, he has a second deadly poison as well. Yeah. And he also has a Cold Blood, so that is 7 damage plus the 4. So that actually puts him within danger zones.
I mean, FION has a good counter here, though. That Deadly Shot that he didn't use earlier is pretty strong here. He's probably going to play that along with one of his 3 drops. Generally, when you have the choice of Animal Companion or a Mukla on an empty board, you'd rather play Mukla because that's basically the best situation. You want to play Mukla when your opponent has no creatures so that the counter attack with bananas isn't as scary. So I think he's going to want to take advantage of that. Of course, he's considering like the Highmane math. And
oh god, the counterattack with bananas. That's the ringing in my head. The banana counterattack won't be so scary.
Yeah, Lothar's not going to have trouble comboing stuff out once that's out.
Yeah, and that's kind of one of the most dangerous classes to actually give bananas, especially for Miracle Rogues, because that became really popular recently, especially on ladder. And you know, just bananas are just so great with that.
Bananas are awesome.
With gadgets and auctioneer?
Yeah.
I wouldn't know. I never draw that guy.
You'd have to have him in your hand in order to get the effect, right?
Yeah.
FION writing his stuff down, looking as if he's in actual physical pain at times. Both of them are really focused. So do you sap Mukla? That's the question.
I don't think I'd sap here. I think the most important thing is getting a minion on the board.
Nah, you just put bananas on it and big game hunter it.
Yeah.
Because you want to save the Cold Blood for your own guy. I mean, the question is, does he value Cold Blood or bananas higher?
Cold Blood for sure.
Well, the advantage of Cold Blood is that he would have the mana left. Well, no, he wouldn't.
Oh, you thought he could deadly poison again?
Oh yeah, just hero power at least. But yeah, I mean, either way, it's more mana efficient to bananas. That's probably what I would do.
So, you heard it here first. It's more efficient to bananas. Let's see that. And he could also drop the Argent Squire to bananas. Have a 4/2, no 1/1, Divine Shield.
Well, he just wants
not
to.
So shabby.
He just wants to set up a win condition right now, and it's really powerful because it just kind of makes Hunter sweat a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, big game Hunter hits so hard.
Yeah, exactly.
And he'd even get to play that Argent Squire, which is huge considering he has Cold Blood in hand. I mean, the only good answer Hunter has to that is Iron Beak Owl, and most people play 0 to 1 of that card. So.
Well, Lothar taking his time.
You know, actually,
about his playing.
You know, just like Crit was telling me, like taking your time is just so effective sometimes to really mess with your opponent's
deck. Oh, and he goes for sap.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's all on the line for him. He's down a game. If he loses this, his tournament is over. So Lothar definitely just does not want to make a mistake. See, I don't like that play. I definitely would have big game hunted. He has no answer to Savannah Highmane now. It's just like.
Oh, he can banana and.
I guess he could hunt the Highmane.
Hunter it, yeah.
You'd rather bounce the Highmane though, so the death rattle doesn't go off. But yeah.
True.
It's just like walks into Stampeding Kodo too, so it's just really sketchy.
Oh man, that's actually a really good point. Stampeding Kodo could just ruin his day.
That's what Stampeding Kodo does, man. Stampeding Kodo doesn't care about your feelings.
Stampedes over your day. Let's see if he drew one, because I don't think he had one. Oh,
and second Hindman instead.
It's usually the worst card in your deck to draw when you have a handful of expensive stuff and a high main already. We'll see what that Animal Companion rolls. I'm pretty well. I mean, maybe he just plays high main. Actually has a lot of options here. It's pretty low though. I mean, 13 life. It's not a lot against a rogue.
Yeah, I feel like if he's holding Leroy, he could die any second.
Yeah.
So he might feel like he needs to roll something nice with the Animal Companion here.
I don't even know what's good though. Huffer and Leok don't do anything. Misha's fine, I suppose.
Yeah, he used both backstabs.
That's true.
So having a Misha would be really nice.
Oh, there you go.
And here he goes.
You can pair it up with the Scavenging Hyena.
Yeah, it's the best he could hope for this round, I guess. Fine.
And this is where stuff like the banana and cold blood actually really come in handy.
Yeah, definitely.
So, let's see. He has several options here. You can try to clear the board, but again, I feel like pushing.
Yeah, like FION's so close to dead. Lothar is just trying to do the math on if he has lethal somehow. Like this turn, there's no way.
No, there's no way to do it this turn.
Next turn, maybe. I'm trying to think of what his best play is. It's actually really tough. I think if I'm Lothar, I think you go Loot Hoarder.
Argus.
No. You Loot Hoarder, Cold Blood. Well, maybe you Argus. You
can't.
can't.
Argus allows you to trade.
Loot
and
Hoarder,
you still
Argus, and Banana the Argent, and you kill Misha with it.
But then he has a 4/3 Hyena, which you have no answer to because you don't have the mana for Deadly Poison that way. If you go,
yeah, you don't have an answer this turn, but you have.
You do have a lot of board.
A 4/4 and a 3/2 taunt, so.
That's true. That would definitely give him the board lead. But Unleash might be able to undo that. If I'm, and this might be too conservative, but if I'm Lothar here, I think what I would do is play Loot Hoarder, Cold Blood the Misha, and then Big Game Hunter the Misha, and then play Deadly Poison and kill the Hyena, because then you'd still have mana for that. But I mean, that's using your Cold Blood and your Deadly Poison to kill creatures when your opponent's at 12 life. It's really tough for Lothar here. It's I can't really fault him for making any decision. You could justify just about anything here. I think the player you're talking about, Defender, is probably actually better. That saves you all of your reach cards like Cold Blood and Deadly Poison to go to the face.
Yeah, I like that as well, just because, again, Hunter, they still have to address what's on the board, because they're in the danger zone of health where they feel like they could die to almost anything. And still saving some cards for that reach is really important in case you draw immediately into your win. Whether it's like Leroy or something like that.
Well, there are at least 3 viable ways to play this turn. Let's see which one Lothar chooses. Oh, he goes for Banana.
Well, Banana.
Go for the Argus.
Oh yeah, usually, I don't think he'd Banana and then Cold Blood his own Origin and attack. That'd be kind of silly.
Would make no sense. But he doesn't play the Loot Hoarder.
Oh, he might do a mixture of both.
What are you
of
planning?
What you were trying to say, Reynad, where he might just attack and then Deadly Poison and just address and then kill off the Hyena, and then just have like a 4/4 and a 2/3, and then just straight up try to just pressure him.
Yeah, I mean, I guess he has the option of just not playing Loot Hoarder, and then that's option number 4.
Yeah, exactly.
That's probably better. I mean, this way you don't have another creature in play for Unleash. This is actually
probably
the
a
best
clear board. Yeah, this is the best one.
And no Unleash.
Yeah, no charged creatures at all here.
No way to actually do anything to the board.
Yeah, no way to live. I think this game's over. Because no matter what, he can't set up a taunt creature or kill any of Lothar's creatures.
Lothar has 4 damage.
Yeah, he has 13 damage. No problem.
And that's too bad. So the series will be tied 1-1. Lothar's found a way.
Indeed, he did.
The question is, does FION have a good answer for
the rogue?
And since it's honestly, since it's tempo rogue, it's actually very easy to counter. A lot of the slower, heavy taunt, like Ancient Watcher, Druid, Handlock, Warrior Control a lot of times. Just a lot of decks are very strong against Rogue. But a lot of people aren't playing those decks because those are kind of the older decks in the meta game.
And they're worried more about, well, the Hunter.
So, nice comeback for Lothar, 1-1. Series is drawn now. Let's see what FION goes for. He manages a little smile there.
When you're playing, do you avoid eye contact with the guy across from you?
No, absolutely not. I stare at them even when they're looking at their monitor. They look up and they're just, you know, they're like taken aback.
Yeah, they don't know what to do.
It throws them off, man.
That's exactly what Ninja does. He like he sits up straight and just stares and smiles at you.
It's all about the little edges, man.
Intimidation,
Nimsh is a tall guy. He's like
Nimsh is a big guy, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He's intimidating. And our guys are into the game right now. We're going to go to the mulligan screen and see. Oh, it's a
Rogue Mirror
match.
Is that really his best answer? We'll find out.
FION seems to think so. Very similar decks. One big game hunter, which everyone plays for reasons. I don't know. Well, I mean, I guess even if it's bad, you can cold blood their creature.
Oh wow, nice.
I think it really shorts up some of Rogue's weakest matchups as well, though.
Yeah, definitely.
Nice mulligan by Lothar. Let's see FION what he's losing, the Yeti and the big game hunter.
Yeah, I mean, FION has an Argent Squire, backstab. Most importantly, he has coin. So that's such an absurd advantage in this matchup.
Oh, he gives up the Argent Squire too, just probably for a shot at the Defias.
His logic for putting back Squire is that if he plays it turn one,
not the best.
It would just trade for the hero power of Lothar, which makes sense, I guess. I've never put back an Argent Squire for my opening hand in any deck I've ever played it in, but that might be correct in the Rogue Mirror. This is tough.
Yeah.
There's no way you coin hero power.
Yeah.
No.
I don't think it's worth using coin. Just take a hit for a turn, hero power next turn.
Yeah.
If you coin now,
the coin, you lose so much potency with Rogue.
It looks like he's thinking about it. And
yeah, he's playing really defensively now. He's down a game. It's
actually he's tied. He's not down a game, but this is the deciding game. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
well,
it doesn't want to make.
He just lost. The
just lost the game's what I meant. Yeah, yeah. Which is like might be affecting his play a bit. Some of these games are just so awkward sometimes. The Rogue deck is basically half removal, half creatures, and sometimes you just draw too much of one or the other, and it makes it pretty awkward. In this case, they both have a ton of removal, but
no creatures.
No creatures of wish.
Yeah. Which means that even when they do draw creatures, they're just gonna die. So it's probably gonna be a longer game, which is rare actually for Rogue games. Usually somebody draws Leroy and kills the other guy in turn 7. Heard you like daggers.
We're seeing lots of daggers, exactly.
Now that the metagame's kind of developed so much since the Rogue hero power nerf, do you imagine if Rogue still kept that, where they would get +1 damage on their weapon if it was already up? Do you think it'd still be really effective?
Why is FION considering that? Do
you think maybe too overpowered?
I hadn't actually thought of unnerfing it that way. The first thing I always looked at was bringing 1-mana Shiv back. The thing about old Rogue is a lot of the viewers are newer to Hearthstone, but basically about 7 months ago, earlier on in the beta, Rogue used to be one of the strongest classes in the game, if not the strongest. The hero power...
Thank you very much for that backstab, for that free big game hunter, I guess.
That's sick.
I was pretty happy about that.
Yeah, if you already had a weapon, the Rogue hero power lets you give it an extra point of power rather than making a new weapon. So that lets you kill 2 health creatures. And yeah, like, that's a good point. I mean, that might bring Rogue back more into prominence if they made that change. That's the only hero power change they've ever done, actually. I don't think it'll be the last, though.
Most definitely not.
Warlock will be an issue, I think.
Alright, so FION manages to stabilize the board.
Yeah, SI is a great draw there.
Just one of the best cards.
There's so few cards in the game that, like, kill your opponent's stuff when you're behind and put you ahead on board at the same time. Unleash the Hounds, SI Agent, those are just some of the very few
Fire
that do
Elemental.
that. Fire Elemental, exactly. Yeah. Argent Commander. Really strong cards, all of them C-playing constructed. Except Stormpike Commando. Much as I like that guy.
Ironforge Rifleman.
Yeah. Kripp has some. Yeah,
Madness.
I've seen Kripp run that guy in constructed.
Yeah. It's a good finisher, right?
It's not bad. There's no good 5-drops, why not?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can be decent in arena sometimes. There's nothing better.
Yeah.
I take that dude sometimes.
Did Gypsy play it earlier today?
What?
Gypsy?
Or Gypsy?
Did he play it? No, but
he played the Nightblade, man. That
Yeah.
was it did more damage. It was 3, not 2, so it's obviously better.
That card's good, man.
Yeah.
yeah, it's very underrated.
That was my favorite match to watch today. It was great.
So will we see a Blade Flurry here? I'm assuming so.
Yeah, second Harvest Golem. None of his creatures die. Blade Flare. I mean, he's down cards, but he's so far ahead on board that actually I'd rather be in Lothar's position right here, for sure.
Yeah. And it's going to be the same scenario where he's trying to answer the board, but he's losing health every turn doing it.
Yeah. Fine has a lot of damage, though. Blood Mage double Eviscerate, that's 10 out of nowhere. You can just play Argent Commander right here, hit him in the face. That's probably going to be the play, honestly. Because then that makes Lothar have to run both of his golems in, which that gives the advantage back to FION, because then his hero power kills the 2 ones that are left over. This game could still go either way. Usually the guy that draws more charge and burn spells later in the game or towards the mid game, that's the player that ends up winning.
Pushing out more damage at that point.
Yeah, you're both hero powering each other's stuff, attacking a little bit. People get whittled down to about 15 health or so, and it's really easy for Rogue to kill a player from that life total, especially because the deck plays so few taunt creatures and no life gain generally.
So FION really considering his options. I don't see a different play now, just Argent. What is he thinking about now? What other plays, viable plays, are there?
You could eviscerate things and hero power.
Really?
It probably wouldn't work out well, but you could do it. I guess the option he's considering is Blood Mage, eviscerate the full golem, hero power, finish off the damaged golem. I like just playing my 6-drop when I have 6 mana, though. It's the same thing with Savannah High Main. Like, when you make the choice to not play your 6-drop on turn 6, when it's a viable option, on turn 7, all of a sudden, if he wants to play that Argent Commander, he's not using his mana efficiently. Like, it's good to play your more expensive card when you have a lot of mana, rather than a bunch of cheap cards that add up to the same cost, because the cheap cards are more flexible in when you can use them.
Yeah, later on you play a big card with a cheap card, so I think he's thinking a lot, but he's gonna go for.
I'm trying to think about what he's trying to think about as well, but at the same
there's
time,
no way he can play the Argus.
Yeah, he just has to. He has to like channel his inner Murloc, go for the face, like just try to deal.
Some persons don't have an inner Murloc, man.
They're missing out.
I guess.
Sometimes I just.
Okay. Low.
Oh, that's
oh man,
ambitious. It might work out. I mean, I don't know.
Wow.
Ugh.
That was painful to watch.
oh man, just like that, both of his rates are out of his hand.
But I see the logic behind that, actually, because from FION's perspective, he's up on cards. So he wants to stall this game out because Lothar's down to just 1, which is, honestly, if you're going to go the defensive route, he played that as well as he could have. And Lothar is out of, I mean, he's down to this Eviscerate, a Loot Hoarder, and a Dream. He's, you know, this could
He's
work
running
out
out of steam, so if I'm taking a defensive approach.
It's definitely not a bad play. It's just a different route.
And you still have the option for Argent Commander every turn.
Yep.
Again, it's one of those cards that has such high impact that it's always useful from this point on. And now using hero power gets really it gets really hurtful, even though it's really important to clear the board at this point.
Yeah, gotta do what you gotta do.
Would you have encouraged him to go for the face instead of trading directly into the damage golem?
No, last turn he made the play that that basically committed him to being the control deck and trying to outcard Lothar. And I think you have to, once you make that commitment, you got to follow through the whole way. When you play one strategy on one turn and then you mix that up the next turn, it basically makes the play on both of your turns less effective. If your plan is to go for face, it's going to be much more successful when you do it every turn consistently. Sometimes things change, but yeah, in this case I like his decision to stay with the kill everything plan and kill my opponent with whatever's left. Lothar drew Spiteful Smith, though. I mean, it's a really high impact card at this point in the game.
That's a nice card, yeah. I don't know if he can kill it next turn. He has what? He has a Thalnos and an Argus, and I don't know the third card that FION has right now.
Yeah, I mean, FION's only at 11, so Lothar is really hesitant to use that Eviscerate for his opponent's creature, but I think he kind of has to here. It's just... it's so tough not to. Yeah, you just have to Eviscerate the 4-2.
Yeah, and he also still has threats in his deck left. It's just that at this point, I think he really needs to kind of enable that Spiteful Smith to start whacking, and keeping that Argent on board is a bad idea. Although,
yeah, playing Big Game Hunter is so greedy against a rogue with 4 cards. I mean, I guess he has. Oh, he actually has a huge life total lead. That's probably better now that I think about it. No, it's actually absolutely correct. I didn't actually realize that he's at 27. Yeah, Lothar definitely played that right. So that's one of the better cards he could have drawn there, though. I mean, it doesn't like. It's kind of treading water, right? Because Lothar is at such a high life total that even hitting him for 4 is not going to be the end of the game for him, but it lets you go, yeah, it lets you sap, Ringleader, Defender of Argus, the 2 little guys, and just go for the face here. It's a really strong play, and yeah.
All right, looks like FION trying to hang in here, potentially maybe even swing the game.
Yeah, it's like
Rogue is so explosive like this.
Definitely, that sap was such an amazing draw. Like that was probably the only card in his deck that could have handled that Spiteful Smith without having to trade off the 4-2. Because I mean, here Lothar could replay the Spiteful Smith, but I mean, at the cost of taking 10 damage, it's like not going to be the most effective.
Yeah.
You actually probably have to play Yeti
to go for
too.
it, yeah. Let's see what FION draws with his Dalnos. That doesn't help him a lot. His own Smith.
A Spiteful Smith is generally a 1-of in these decks. It's basically Azure Drake number 3. I've tried playing 2 of it, but it just ends up being too many 5-drops a lot of the time.
I don't think he can clear the board, FION.
I like these players' decisions to play Spiteful Smith over Captain Greenskin. I think it's a lot better of a card, honestly. That like 2 extra health just completely changes the classic cards that can kill it.
Yeah, and it still has pretty good power level overall, just because it combos really well with almost everything else, with Blade Flurry and everything.
Yeah, definitely. Just making like your weapon always have deadly poison on it is so strong.
Well, that's why people usually try to remove it as fast as possible. Yeah. It's almost as if it has a taunt on it. Let's see what FION thinking this turn. Well, he has mana to do everything actually, but
yeah, I mean he's gonna play his animals. He's just deciding what to attack. He doesn't have a lot of life to play with, so as much as he'd like to run his 4-2 into the Yeti and then hero power to finish it off, that's really dangerous. You know, you go to 6, your opponent has a Spiteful Smith, like.
Yeah, you don't know if he's able to clear and able to do some
his
wacky things.
I like that decision.
Face. Yeah, that's I think the best decision.
It's not pretty, but you gotta do what you gotta do. And getting the lead on life totals is just so huge in these matchups. It's actually really, really close. It's gonna completely come down to top decks, I think.
As if it hasn't already.
Yeah.
Wow. So he can actually bring him down to 2 life.
He's at 19. You do that, right? Because then he has no taunt creatures.
Exactly.
And you have a deadly poison that's lethal on board. And he probably can't kill you on the swing back because he's going to have to deal, what, like 15, 16?
With 1 card.
With 1 card.
Unless he wants to use his Thanos to draw 2.
Well, yeah, it would have to be 10 damage with 1 card. Or yeah, 10 damage with 2. Very unlikely.
So he'll have to draw maybe another Argus. That might save him, I guess.
It could.
You actually might as well save the Eviscerate, right? There's no reason to throw it at your opponent's face right now. You might as well just combo it next turn with whatever you draw.
Well, Lothar still taking his time.
I think
even with just 2 cards in his hand.
I think it is what he wants to. He should save the Eviscerate.
I don't see a play here other than that makes sense, though. It's just, I mean, it's aggressive, but it's very low risk, very high reward.
Well, he will be at like, what, 16 life?
Yeah. You also kind of force FION to run the Spiteful Smith and the Blood Mage into Yeti.
I was gonna minimize damage, use the Eviscerate, and then instead put him at 3.
That's another option, I guess. That would give him a little bit more life to play with, although it would deal 1 less damage to his opponent. I guess there's not a big difference between him being at 2 or 3, but him being at 2 would make SI Agent lethal, even though he couldn't combo it the first turn he drew it. He could combo it the second turn he drew it, so he could also Azure Drake into SI Agent. So that's like the other way he could have lethal. Personally, man, that's a really tough call. Is the 3 extra life worth that small chance? It might be.
I think it is. Especially if there's an opportunity for him to like potentially draw into like a Leroy Coldblood.
Yeah, it's like so many of these like small decisions that a lot of people wouldn't think twice about and just run all that stuff out. But I mean, a lot's on the line. Whoever loses this game is out of the tournament. And
well, and that's it. He has no way to answer that.
Why didn't he suicide the Blood Mage?
Well,
yeah, I
guess to draw more options. I guess, did he not have an Argus in his deck or anything?
I don't know.
Maybe he had no more outs, I guess, in his deck. Yeah.
He either forgot about it or there was only 1 Argus in his deck.
Man. Close matchup.
Nice comeback from Lothar. And again, he lost the first Hunter Mirror and managed to come back with his Rogue.
Yeah, and a Rogue Mirror. I mean, that's a lot of the more the games where like skill is really shown as in when both players are playing relatively similar decks. Because then the decision making and well, sometimes the draws are gonna determine who wins.
Well, I don't know. I didn't see any big mistakes. Probably just the choice of FION to go defensive there with those 2 Eviscerates. I feel like he could have done probably put more pressure and do more damage on his opponent.
I think it's a playing style preference. Yeah. You know, I don't think you can say that's a mistake or a misplay.
I didn't call it. I just called him. I called it his style of playing this defensive might not have been the best in this particular situation.
I definitely feel like both players played very well. They didn't make any like technical. They didn't like miss damage or anything on board. It was just judgment calls that had to be made. And I would have made the aggressive play with Commander. FION decided to go the other route. It's not necessarily right or wrong either way.
Well, let's have Lothar here and.
Absolutely.
Let's have him share his thoughts with us.
All right, cool. Thank you so much for joining us right now.
Thanks for having me.
He's in a heated
and good luck in your next round, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll see you soon, Reynad. We'll be here for a while.
We will, man. It's been a long day. You hanging in there, PTC?
Yeah. I'm. Nescafe is helping me out.
I always enjoy having pros and just kind of like hearing what they have to say about the game.
Really
you know, because
lots of insight.
As much as we spend a lot of time studying the game and learning the game, they know it better than us. I mean, if we knew as much as them, we'd be playing, right?
Obviously, yeah. Well,
I really enjoy just hearing what he has to say and kind of soundboarding, but I'm really looking forward to hearing what also Lothar has to say in some of his interviews.
Well, let me just get him over here.
Meanwhile, guys, if you're just tuning in, welcome to DreamHack Bucharest Hearthstone. It's a pretty laid-back stream. You know, we always want to represent Hearthstone as kind of like a relaxed, chilled area. And what better way to chill than to have Lothar here with us? What's up, Jakub?
Hi, guys.
So, to walk us through the series, you know, Hunter versus Hunter, everyone says whoever loses that matchup feels like they're just at a huge disadvantage.
Yeah, that's
how did you kind of mentally stabilize yourself for that?
I thought that Tempo Rogue has basically a little advantage over Hunter if it's played right, and the only way to play right with Tempo Rogue against Hunter is that you have to put pressure on him before hit the Hunter and even plays every card. There were some questionable plays I made, especially in the Hunter versus Hunter game, because in the 6th turn I played the Kodo like with no effect. But
well, that's actually the play that we were recommending as well.
Yeah.
Instead of actually like playing out your boar and your Suffering Buzzard.
Yeah, I will like just empty my hand without any effect in the next turns. So I thought to myself that he can't. He doesn't have any way to buff his Handmaster, so it's for free for sure. So even if he does damage to me, I can kill him in the next turn. I mean the Handmaster, not the player. So yeah, there were some really intense moments in the matchup, but well, the lack of Buzzard really hurt when it in the mirror match.
You needed the draw.
The only way there was like one turn when I had my hand was like clogged with those 2 Crocolisks, and I didn't play any at all, and that might feel like a misplay. But the only chance to regain everything in that game was to like draw Buzzard and then draw Hunter's Mark and a Boar, and that was highly unlikely, but also the only out I got that game. So yeah, and I when we talked before the match, when we discussed other classes, I knew that he was playing Hunter, Rogue, and Warlock. So I thought to myself,
Rogue has the best chance versus the other classes as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
that's cool. That's smart. You know, Reyna was complimenting you. He says he thinks you've really done your homework and you prepared well for the tournament.
Well, if Reyna says so, man, that's something.
He
I
has
have to
agreed
write
with
it on
you.
my tweet.
He agrees with you that Rogue is probably the best answer to that kind of mid-range hunter. So
Okay,
that's what he plays himself. So, okay, congrats for making it to the round of I think
32?
round of 32. Yeah,
one step closer. Still a long way from being
one game
there
after
in
the
top 8 in the money.
man.
And we're a long way from finishing up this day in Bucharest. It's been a long day. I think I'm going to take a break. Creep's going to come and take my place because I've been casting for like 8 hours straight.
Of course.
So we're going to take a break. And when we come back, we're going to have our next series here at DreamHack.
I think it's going to be E-Cup playing next. So stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few minutes, guys. Thanks for watching.
Thanks.